What is going on, Cigar Club family? Welcome to another episode here on the Cigar Club Podcast. I am so excited to be doing this podcast from inside Tabacalera La Isla in Santiago, Dominican Republic with my good friend Hostos Fernández Quesada.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
I'm excited.
We're going to seem a little bit more shinier doing this podcast because we are in the factory.
We're in the factory. The fans are on though. It's nice.
Yeah.
I'm in long sleeves.
Good. Yeah, you're in long sleeves, actually. Yeah, I see you're doing fine.
I always like wearing this long sleeve when people make fun of me for it, but I just like it. And we're getting the shine from the greatest logo in factory history.
No, come on. You're killing me here. No.
The famous neon La Isla wall. Man, we've been here. We got here yesterday, and today we spent the majority of the day at this table, blending, tasting, trying new concoctions.
Yeah, that's why we literally moved that table for this podcast because this is what we're doing. We're in the factory, and this is what we're doing.
It's as real as it gets over here, people. But anyway, I know we've been introducing you, La Isla, a lot to our Cigar Club family, and something that was really important to me was to be able to come down here and let them get the inside look on how the cigars that they're smoking in Cigar Club Customs or with our Ducks Unlimited project that you're doing for us and all the other blends that we have going, what goes into that and what the behind the scenes is. So we appreciate you opening all that up for us.
Yeah, that's why I told you 1,000 times, get over here. Because it's good to see the process firsthand. And I like working with people like you because you are part of the process. I'm just not making you a cigar. You're like, yeah, go. No. We're together. We're working together. Yep. We're smoking together and we're tasting things. This is my favorite part of it is doing this. Because you're literally playing with tobaccos, man. You're seeing what one gives you, what the other gives you, and then you put them together. You're like, oh, this is interesting.
I think that's the most fascinating part is you could smoke the Criollo 98 Purito, right? Oh, great. You put a wrapper on it? Ooh.
Yeah.
Or you're like, I like this one and this one, but you put them together,
that's
fillers,
the fun part
and you're like, no way. But then out of nowhere, some of them are like, yeah, that clicks.
Yeah, and like everything that you do, every single sample we make, some of them might be shit. Some of them might be great. But that's the whole point. You're trying to get to the point where you want to get with the specific blend we're looking for in the cigar.
It's such a unique process that why I love shining the light on it is because I know for myself 2 years ago when I was not even in the cigar industry, I didn't understand all that went into a cigar. Because, we see it in its perfect form with the beautiful box and the bands and the photos and all these things. Dressed. But when you come here, you see the bales of tobacco coming in and all the things you showed us that are part of the process. And there's even more that happens before it. So anyway, I say all that just because getting this inside look, the appreciation for the cigar goes so much deeper, I think. Yeah,
I agree. It's like I told you, that a lot of people that come to a cigar factory, they leave with a different mindset of how difficult it is, how every minute detail is important. Because at the end of the day, it's not just putting brown tobacco in a cylinder and lighting it up, Right. There's a lot of details that people have no idea that go into the cigar. And it's like you said, I showed you all my processes here, but even outside of the factory, there's other processes from the farm for me getting the tobaccos that we just got tobacco for yourself today, arriving here today. But that is part of the things that people don't notice till they come to a cigar factory or they see a video or they see somebody trying to explain, but there's no comparison to being here.
Right.
And seeing how it works and touching the product and smoking. And it's like, I love when you and me are trying all these puritos and trying different things. You're like, wow, I wasn't expecting this to happen. It could be in the good way or the bad way.
Sure.
But that's part of the process.
Yep.
For me, that's the funnest part of it, to be honest with you.
Totally. And your background isn't, retail and this and that. It's factory.
I've always said I'm a factory guy. That's what I like. At the end of the day, that's what I like. That's what I love. Because I'm 36, but I've been doing this since I was 15, basically.
Wow. And where did you get?
I used to work with my family, which is Quesada Cigars. A lot of people know him from Casa Magna or Fonseca or even the Quesada brand as well. Ever since I was a young kid, I used to work there summers when I was in high school. After I graduated high school, I went to college, part-time work. And then after I graduated from college, I just kept working full-time. I always said I should have done a master's somewhere to have some fun outside of work, but I've worked all my life.
Yeah.
And
in cigars.
In cigars and inside a cigar factory.
And you were explaining to this at dinner last night. You didn't just walk in, Quesada family, let me walk into the best, easiest, most fun part of the job. You were sweeping floors.
That's not
sorting tobacco. Like
The way that I did it, and it's the way I believe it should be done, is I spent literally a year in each department.
Which is what?
From sweeping for a year to then carrying boxes to then starting to see the tobacco process in the bales, and because in Quesada they do the fermentation in the bales and everything. So it's just learning it from the start to the finish. So I spent a year in the processing of tobacco. Then I spent a year sorting tobacco. Then I spent a year sorting fillers. Then another year sorting binder. Another year sorting wrapper. And then from there, you go to production and you see how production works. How do the materials get to them correctly? How do you have to store them? How do you have to give it to them? I spent a year just learning that process.
Right.
And then it's into production with the cigar makers. Learning how it works and learning how cigar makers think and work. Because at the end of the day, cigar makers are artists. It's something that is done by hand, and they have that thing where they're like, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I'm proud of what I do. So I always said, if I ever did a master's, instead of working, I should have done it in psychology, because you got to figure out how to work with artists. You know, they're basically artisans. They're making things by hand, and everything affects them from the day they come in, if they had a fight in their house, if they're feeling under the weather. Fridays they want to go out to drink. Mondays they're hungover. So these are all things you have to, because it's human. You're not working with machines. You're working with humans. And you're working with a lot of humans at the same time. So you have to adapt yourself to be able to work in a way that it flows correctly in that sense.
And you said something about you want to make happy cigars.
Yeah, I mean, when I say that, in my factory here at La Isla, I'm very, very, very careful. And the way I've been working is creating a culture inside the factory where everybody's having a good time, but we're also working. It's not that we're partying. We're enjoying our work, and that shows up in the finished product. At the end of the day, if the tobacco is not classified correctly, if it's not correct, if it's not right, if it's not sorted correct, if the cigar maker's in a bad mood, if he doesn't want to work here, he wants to leave, and he's still making cigars.
Right.
All those things, at the end of the day, you get it here, man. You notice these type of things. And that's an example of the little details that people don't think about. It's not just the tobacco. It's the people, too.
Yeah.
You have to maintain a type of, I use the word culture because that's what's mostly used. A culture here where we know we got to work. This is serious work. We got to do things right. But why can't we have a good time doing it?
Sure.
Why do you have to come to work and be like, oh, man, now I got to do cigars again today? No. You have good materials. We have a good time. Everybody's flowing. There's no problems. Because that's the way I work as well.
Right.
I'm a very chill guy. I like to do everything. I usually take my time sometimes because I like to think things through and see how it works. I'm not a fan of rushing, as I've told you and everybody a million times. I like doing things with time, and cigars need time.
Right.
Cigars need time for everything, from the tobacco that you're getting to sort, from the finished product to aging. It's all about time, man. Even in the shipping department where we're just literally putting bands and dressing cigars, bands, cellophane, boxing them. If you do it in a rush, bands might be crooked. Cellophane might be the other way around.
Yep.
The boxes don't look how we want them to look. So even that, the people are part of the process. And I'm that way, and that's the thing I'm trying to create here. And when you come here, I hope you're having a good time.
Right.
But that's my point. Like, somebody like you shows up, friend of mine, even though we work, we're now good friends, man.
Yep.
If you don't do another cigar with me, we're going to be doing the same thing we're doing right now.
Yep.
So you coming here, it's you having a good time, but we're working at the same time. That's the type of thing I like to do with customers, friends, and people who work here at the same time.
It makes it enjoyable to be a part of what they're doing. I'm
lucky enough that I do what I love, and it's my company. It's my factory. It's my family. It's me. You know, these are the things that I wake up every day, no problem, because I've been working since I was 15, and sometimes I come here on a Saturday, on a Sunday. It doesn't matter. I've worked all my life. Why not keep pushing for something that I want to create and grow?
Right, and it's new now because this is yours.
Correct.
You started this from an empty warehouse.
This used to be a storage facility for tobacco. I'm not going to say what type of tobacco, but we had to clean it up. We had to fumigate. There was no walls. It was just an empty shell. So we started September, middle of the pandemic. I'm the one, my friends call me the COVID police because I was always very careful about it. But I said, this we have to do. I don't care.
Yep.
You got to wear 5 masks, you wear 5 masks. It doesn't matter. So we started building it out in September, and by December we were ready to go.
Wow. So what drove you to start a factory? Because you You spent, what, 15 plus years at Quesada?
Yeah, and then after I left Quesada, Quesada went through all the departments like we were talking about, even shipping department, and I learned the process because it's like I told you last night. I'm not the knower of everything, but I'm hard to trick in the sense that somebody can tell me, oh, we can do it that way. No. That way, this is going to happen. Or it's easier to do it this route. Well, I don't want easier. I want it correct, you know?
Right.
So these are the little things that I've learned and I keep learning because at the end of the day, nobody's an expert. There's some master blenders. I use that word very carefully because some people deserve that name under their normal name. Some people don't. So I never consider myself that either because I'm always learning every day.
Yeah.
There's new things that even the people I work with, this is part of the other process of the way I have a relationship with all the workers here. They suggest things, man. And suggestions are always accepted because it makes me think about it in a different angle, you know?
Sure.
Even this wall, not the sign, this wall, I was not going to put it on there. And Elvis, my main guy, he was like, why don't you put a wall here? Then we figure out a way. I'm like, that's a great idea. And then I thought about the sign, and here it is.
Yep.
It's one of the things I wanted because the sign was me promoting. It's not me. It's the company. Tabacalera La Isla is not one person. We're up to 20 people now.
Wow.
Thankfully. Little by little, we're growing.
Yeah.
It's all about the company and the people inside the company.
Sure.
Because I'm not going to be at CigarClub.com with a video, buy my cigars. The product needs to talk for itself, you know?
Yeah.
So I hear everybody. I take suggestions. And if it works and I think it's going to work, I have no problems with it. Even people like you and other customers say, how about this? I'm like, that's an interesting idea. And I try to implement it. My ears are always open and I'm listening. And I'm lucky enough to know a lot of cigar makers in this country and Nicaragua as well. I've been lucky enough that I've had a great relationship with everybody. And they've been amazing in the sense of when I started this company, everybody has reached out to help.
Man.
It's been crazy. I called Ernie to congratulate him for his #1 cigar, and his
EPC.
second #1 cigar.
Yeah.
His first question was, "How's the factory doing?" I'm like, Ernie, let's talk about your cigar.
Yeah.
I'm the little people here.
Yeah.
I'm calling you about. He's like, no. Tell me what's going on. What do you need? What do you need? A bunch of people. I don't want to. When you do the edit, I don't want to do too much names.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. I'm missing anybody, but a lot of people in the industry have reached out, helped, called me. How you doing? What do you need? I've had people send me tables, molds, presses, cutters, without me even asking. And this is one of the beauties of this industry, that even though we're competitors, everybody's friendly and everybody helps each other out because we're a very small industry. Yeah,
it's something that is a common thread throughout cigars is relationships.
You don't get that in any other industry, man. Doesn't happen.
If you treat people with respect, integrity, you help them, it's just this constant circle that just keeps coming back, and then you have this large group of people now in your network, in your family almost, where they're helping you out because they want to, because you're friends, real friends.
And it's like what you said, Dave. It's all about you doing the work correctly, being respectful. Because again, I'm a young guy. We're young guys in this industry, man. We gotta respect our elders.
Yep.
They're the ones that started everything, and I have huge respect for all of them. And every time I visit one of them or talk with them, I just let them talk and I listen, because they know what the hell they're talking about.
Yep.
These are people that have done in their lifetime over 100 million cigars. Who knows in their lifetime how many cigars they've been part of producing? Who knows? So I always listen to them, but they're always. It's one of the things that makes me happy about doing this. Because at the end of the day, man, I'll tell you this in this podcast, me opening this factory, scared shitless. It's a big undertaking, putting all my eggs in the basket.
Yeah.
And every day there's a constant flow and work that you have to do to keep the factory happy and to keep the customers happy.
Everywhere we've turned today, you've pointed out some little detail, whether it's the molds, and you're like, hey, notice there's a number on the top and bottom in case one is off. They have to be like this. Or when they get their tobaccos, they're separated into 4 different bags that are numbered to make the rollers' lives easier. Everything has a very specific reason.
The minimal details, man. The minimal details
it's crazy
are key.
What goes into all of this.
And
I don't know how you keep it all straight.
I don't. When I forget, I just check my notes. I mean, it's impossible, but you have to have your mind all over the place at the same time, because there's a lot of things going into it. Of course, you have people here working and helping, but you always have to be on top of it, because the minute details might get lost. Right,
and it's like I look at this operation and everything that you've shared with us this week, and it's like if you didn't spend a year in every department of your life,
I'd be getting
right?
tricked all day.
But it's like, how would you even open this and be
No way.
successful and be efficient and keep your employees happy?
Yeah,
and there's no way you could have done it without that time of learning,
course,
listening,
of course.
working on every little station
Yeah,
in the
that's
factory.
the thing, Dave. A lot of people say, I'm 36. Oh, he's young. He hasn't been this. I've been this longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm still young, but I started very young. But it's what you said. Let's be clear here, Dave. I wasn't going to open up a T-shirt company that I have no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
I've learned things, and I keep learning. But obviously, this is what I do. This is what I love to do. So one of the reasons I decided to do this, I said, I can do this.
Yep.
I think I can do this. And even me thinking that, I spoke with close friends of mine who are in the industry, cigar factory owners, people that work for cigar companies, people that don't work for cigar companies, just to get their thoughts on what I was thinking. I was waiting for somebody to tell me you're out of your fucking mind. Nobody said it. I was like, okay. And I spoke to 3 or 4 of them that are people who don't give me any bullshit.
Yep.
I can come up with them with the greatest idea in the world, and if they don't like it, they're going to be like, no, it sucks. So it was good that nobody told me I was out of my mind.
Right.
Because let me keep
I
telling
mean, you have to be a little out of your mind to
little bit.
launch a company like
A
that.
little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit, a little
But
bit,
nothing
yeah.
out of the ordinary.
Nothing out of the ordinary, but you got to be a little crazy
Yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah.
to start this, even during a pandemic and all that type of stuff, man. And to be honest with you, man, this is one of the things that I'm working so hard for this company is at the end of the day, when I tell you all my eggs are in this basket, I'm not lying. I have a daughter, I have a wife, I have a family to support, so I'm not joking around either.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's a business, but we're lucky enough that it's a business we like to do.
Yep.
That we love to do.
Makes it enjoyable to get up and
the
put
days,
in the hours.
The days go by, Dave, so fast because you're doing so much things. You blink and it's 5 or 6 p.m. My workers here always are making fun of me. They said, you love working at night because they leave at 4:30 or 5 and I leave at 7 or 8. And they know I'm here. And they're like, yeah, because at night I can sit down and think about other things.
Nobody asked me anything.
I'm not thinking about the factory.
Right.
I'm thinking about the other part of it, which is sitting down on the computer, talking with my customers, getting things done.
Yep.
So I always stay a little bit later because of that too, because I have the time. But this is where you have to. I'm a guy that likes to balance things too. I always said I don't work to live. I don't
Yep.
live to work. I work to live.
Yep.
At the end of the day, sometimes I want to get out of here. I want to go see my daughter. I want to go
Yep.
spend time with her. So I figure out a way to handle that. But at the end of the day, man, when I decided to do this company, I had a conversation with my wife and I told her, listen, this is going to be my focus. Of course, our baby's the focus. We are the focus. But when I'm at the factory, I'm at the factory. Because you have to concentrate. There's a
Right.
lot of things and you
Right.
can't be thinking about things outside and things inside. That's why part of my family members are here with me. Because I can be outside of the factory and I trust that they're here and they're
Yep.
working because my 2 brother-in-laws are working here. My father-in-law is part of the company. I mean, we're all together here, and that gives me a little bit of sense of peace in the
Yeah.
sense that
Trust.
I leave for a show, I leave for an event, I go see Tobacco for the day. I trust that they're here and everything is going smoothly, but I'm still calling every 2 minutes.
Right.
Anyhow, but at least I know they're here, you know?
Exactly.
At the same time. But going back a little bit to the original, after I spent all the years at Quesada, I decided to take a different route. So after that, I was lucky enough because of all the relationships I had and all the work I had done. I had a ton of offers on the table. I was very lucky for that. The one that made most sense was Cigar Rings because I've known them for years because we did everything with them.
Yep.
And I'm the
They
one
make
that worked with
cigar
them.
bands.
Yeah, Cigar
Yep.
Rings is one of the biggest companies that makes cigar bands, labels, everything just for cigars.
Yep.
They don't do anything else. It's just cigar based. That's why it's called Cigar Rings. And I said, you know what? This might be an interesting experience for me to learn the other side of the business.
Here he goes again, learning.
This is, I
You
always
can't
said,
fool me.
I don't like comparing ourselves to doctors because doctors, of course, are doctors. But the thing we're similar with is every day we're learning something new.
Yep.
It's not like you know everything one day and you're done. No, every day you're learning something new. So I decided to go to Cigar Rings, and it was great. I learned a lot about the other side of the business, how it works in the printing side, because every single cigar, 90% of cigars in the market have bands, have labels, have dressing, and I wanted to know how that works. How are these made? How are these priced out? How does the paper works? How does the paper behave with tobacco? I mean, there was a bunch of things.
Yeah.
I learned a lot because the 2 gentlemen who own the company, Albert and Miquel, they are very knowledgeable about what they're doing as well. They know what the hell they're doing. They've been doing it for 15 years, and the company does product for everybody in the industry. They also have a factory in Nicaragua as well. So I used to travel a lot to Nicaragua, too. I used to travel a lot before with Quesada because we work with Plasencia, but I travel a lot more with Cigar Rings because there is another Cigar Rings in Nicaragua. So that was another part of the learning process because when I was at Quesada and I visited other factories, there was always a little bit, I don't want to say hesitation or barrier, but at the end of the day, you were shown things, but not everything.
Okay.
When I was at Cigar Rings, doors were opened.
Yep.
Because I already knew all of the people, Nicaragua and here as well. I knew everybody. I went to their factories, try this tobacco, try this blend. What do you think of this? And that's the little things that kept me wanting to come back.
Into cigar making.
Into cigar making. Because I've always told you, I'm a factory guy.
Yep.
I'm not a traveling salesman. I don't do that much of events because I want to concentrate on the factory.
Right.
And that's what I like. But in Cigar Rings, I learned a lot, and I always had that itch in the back of my head. It's like I was born into it, and I've been doing it almost all my life. Cigar Rings was a great experience. I learned a lot, but I always had that in the back of my mind. I want to get back into cigars. Yeah, get back into tobacco.
Yeah.
So after the Pro Cigar Festival in 2020, which was before the pandemic happened, during the festival, I was like, man, is it fine if I drink during the thing? During the festival, I was like, this is my thing, man. Cigars, people in the cigars, getting into it. So I decided to let them know that I wanted to leave because I wanted to see what I could do tobacco-wise. If I'm being honest with you, when I decided to do that, this was before the pandemic. So I was expecting people to reach out to me. Oh, come work with us and learn this part of the process. I was open to anything. But the pandemic happened. I was like, fuck, maybe I should have waited. But at the end of the day, hindsight is 2020, so it is what it is. And I got calls, but no offers, obviously, because everybody was closed. Nobody knew what was going to happen. We were in the middle of like the first few months of lockdown where everybody was in their houses.
Strict lockdown, right.
A bunch of factories had closed because of the laws here. Some of them were at 30% capacity. It was no moment to be hiring anybody. You know what I mean? So I understood that, and I appreciate it. And they said they would call me and we would talk. Sure, no problem. We had to be in our house anyhow at the end of the day during the first few months of lockdown. And I just sat in my balcony a lot, smoked cigars, and I just thought about things. My father-in-law, for years, well, he opened up a factory. I'm like, nah. I'm doing other things. And me thinking about these things, he started grilling me again about it. And I was like, fuck. This might be an interesting idea. The other part of it was there's a mini boom of cigars happening right now.
Totally.
Unexpected. Thankfully, it happened. People were expecting the worst when the pandemic happened. It was literally the opposite.
Totally.
So that was one point where I was like, man, I'm not looking to start a factory and make 2 million cigars right away. I can pick up the crumbs. I can start little by little. I can start with small productions, special things, different things. I'm trying to be different here.
Right.
I'm not saying other people aren't. I'm trying to do it in my way. I'm not saying I know everything, but every cigar maker has their own style, of doing things. And I this is one of the beauties of me doing this. I can kind of do, and there's nothing more rewarding than hearing comments from you when people tell me the cigar's great, construction's on point, it's different. I wasn't expecting this from a Dominican cigar, which is kind of a shot, but at the same time it isn't, because Dominican cigars are great, but there's a profile for Dominicans. There's a profile for Nicaraguan cigars, a profile for Hondurans. There's different profiles. Here, even though I'm in DR, I'm Dominican, this is my country, this is where I want to be. I'm trying to do things that are a little bit between all that.
Yeah.
Because I like when people smoke a cigar from me and they're like, I wasn't expecting this type of Dominican cigar.
Right.
I'm like, that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Which is actually where we landed, or the first time you sent samples, and I was like, oh, interesting.
Exactly.
This is counter to what I've always thought of Dominican, or primarily Dominican cigars.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Dominican cigars can be strong, mild, medium. You have different options, but the mindset of people is they think Dominicans are one way, Nicaraguans are one way, Cubans are one way. People think right away different countries, and I'm trying to kind of erase that barrier a little bit in the sense of what we can do here, anybody else can do, and we're doing our own style of things. What does that mean? You might think it sucks. You might love it.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's a product that you're the expert. I'm not the expert. Who's the expert? The one that's smoking, and it's what they like.
Totally.
Everybody always asks me, do you like this cigar? I always say, I don't like it. I never say it's a bad cigar or it's shit or it's this, because there's a bunch of guys who love that cigar.
Yep.
So who am I to tell them that they're wrong?
Right.
Everybody has their own palate, their
Right.
own opinion. Some people like mild cigars, strong cigars. Nobody can say, "Oh, the cigar is shit." You're incorrect, my friend. You don't like that cigar,
Right.
but all the work that you've seen that goes into cigars, and this is a small factory at the end of the day. When you see one of the huge ones, it's this multiplied by 50.
Insane.
So I don't accept people telling me this is shit because you have no idea what went into that. You have no idea what they were looking for.
Yeah, no appreciation.
And you have
for the
no
craft.
idea what their customer base wants. So at the end of the day, everybody has their own process and their own style of doing things.
Right.
What I'm doing at La Isla but mine is a little bit different because I don't have my own brand. So I like doing things in my style, but working in together with people like you, where we sit down and I give you my opinions, you give me yours, and we find the middle ground.
Totally. And it gives you that freedom, that sense of freedom to buy the tobaccos you want to buy, to give the flavor and the style, the uniqueness.
To offer people what I think
Right.
is a good cigar.
Right. Which has
Right.
to be contrary to working at a more established brand from
Which is-
before, where it's like, these are the blends, these are what they need to taste like. Sure.
Core lines are core lines.
But you come here and it's like, I
Zero.
can make anything I want. There's
That
a
is-
level of freedom to that must be amazing.
It's beautiful.
For someone who creates.
It's beautiful because exactly, I go to all the suppliers and I just see things. I'm like, what's this?
I want it.
Let me smell. Let me try. Give me a sample of this. I'm just picking. I always tell them, don't kill me because I'll buy from you eventually. But
Yeah.
I'm always picking samples
Yeah.
because I need a level playing field. And thankfully I have it here at my own place. But it's a level playing field where I can play around with different things and create. And it's always great because sometimes you've noticed I have samples for you ready.
Yep.
And I try this and you're like, I like this, but maybe, oh shit, yeah, it's a great idea. Let's do that. Let's go do it right now.
Yeah.
Let's smoke the cigar.
Yep.
Might be better, might be worse, but the interesting part is doing it and seeing what you get. You know?
100%.
You never get bored.
No, that's for sure with all this tobacco. So I want to know a little bit about your blending, your palate, what you look for in a cigar. If you're leading a blending session like you did today, and I give you some broad terms of like what I'm looking for, the body, strength, general flavor profile. That's one thing. Then you kind of direct that. But if someone's like, make me a cigar, and this is kind of the general idea, what do you lean to? What countries? What type of tobacco? What profile? Like, what's your sweet spot?
I'm actually, like, for example, if it's me personally,
Yeah.
I usually smoke stronger cigars.
Okay.
Low, medium, like a medium is the lowest I'll go. Doesn't knock mild cigars.
Except for our latest Connecticut that you can't get enough of.
There you go. But what we talked about 2 minutes ago.
Yep.
It's a Connecticut, but when you light it up, you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine who was here. He's like, I don't smoke Connecticut. So I'm like, try this Connecticut. He's like, wait a second. This is has a little bit of kick. It has a little bit of sweetness and flavor.
Yeah.
Because it all depends. What I smoke, I'm not going to sell you. I'm not going to smoke 100,000 cigars.
Right.
I need to do cigars that people want.
Right.
So, but at the end of the day, I think my profile personally is more on the stronger side, but a lot of flavor. So when I'm doing things with people like you, I always ask them a broad term. Sweet, strong, mild, medium is the first question.
Yep.
If they give me medium, I go a little bit higher, a little bit lower, and I give them 3 samples.
Yep.
Because you got to have options for people always. So if you tell me medium, I do medium plus, medium lower, and a medium. And from there, I like to find flavor and strength. More flavor than strength. What comes into flavor? Bunch of things. From sweetness to low-fee bread, as you mentioned in the sample we were doing, to all these words that people say. A lot of people make fun of a lot of reviewers.
Yeah,
Some of them are out there, but
Yeah.
some of them, you kind of get what they're thinking about. You know, but some
Right.
of them are way out there that I'm like, what are these guys talking
Yeah.
about? You know, but
The underside of a leather couch.
yeah, I haven't smoked any leather lately, but okay. But what I'm looking for, man, flavor, sweetness, and strength if need be.
Yeah.
Because I've tried cigars that I don't like, that I'm missing things. When I smoke a cigar, that's why I don't smoke mild cigars, because I need something to entertain me, not just blow smoke.
Yeah.
And if that, just smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
Cigar is an experience. But doesn't mean that you don't get that from a mild cigar, because beginners start with mild cigars. Some people enjoy a milder cigar. Doesn't mean you don't have that experience, but I like to have a more intense experience. But blending cigars for other people, if it's blind, I give them options of things I like. A strong one, a medium one, very sweet, very spicy, because everybody has their different way
Right.
of their customer base that they want to sell to. You know better than me who your customers are. So everything that you give me, I listen and I follow your ideas and comments, and then I go from there. But that's basically it, man. It's not rocket science, to be honest with you. It's just tasting different tobaccos. And even though there's a tobacco I've tasted 10 times, if we're doing a new blend, I want to taste it again.
Right.
Because I want to see if there's some type of difference or something is happening. Because everything affects, man. If it's raining a lot, if it's not raining a lot, if it's...
There's so many variables.
So many variables.
Which then gets into the whole equation of consistency, production over production.
Exactly.
Which we were talking about earlier with Enrique. Like, you make a cigar for me today, and then the order comes back in 6 months, and then a year, and then 2 years. It's not the same crop.
No.
But it has to taste the same.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people have what we call the core lines, which is their historic lines that they've been selling. Some people have been selling them for 30 years,
Yep.
20 years, 10 years. Nobody has tobacco for 30 years stored
Right.
there just to make that. So the idea is you got to have a range of the taste of the cigar from this point to this point. Inside that range is what people like about that specific cigar. It
Right.
has the profile that people like. As long as you stay inside that range, be it wide or not, the idea is to stay inside, because that's what reminds the smoker what they like about the cigar.
Right.
So what happens? Let's say tobacco number 2. You notice your inventory and it's getting low and that crop is done. You get similar seeds from different crops, different regions, or different years.
Yep.
You smoke next to the OG. And you're like, this is very similar. Let's put it in the blend. When you put it in the blend, if it's inside that range, be it wide or not, you're good to go.
Right.
Nobody has a magical stash of tobacco where I can make cigars for you for 100 years. No. Somebody does say it, then great, but I don't think so. I don't believe you.
Right.
Because
You can't trick them.
you move. Tobacco needs to move. And at the end of the day, if you're storing tobacco for 20 years, it's going to lose a lot of life.
Right.
So at the end of the day, that's the way it works for core lines, in my opinion. Some people might be saying I'm talking out of my ass, but that's what I've seen and learned. Because nobody has enough tobacco to be able to do the same thing. And you're like, oh, in 40 years, I'm still going to be making this cigar and selling thousands of... You have no fucking idea.
Right.
You know what? I can curse.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you're good.
So you have no idea. So people are not going to take that big of a risk either, unless you won the lottery or if you have so much money, why even do a cigar factory at the end of the day?
Right.
I mean, but people just go with it, and you have to just stay inside that range of what reminds the smoker what they like about the specific cigar.
So who was influential in your life when it comes to creating blends, maintaining that consistency? Is that something that you learned watching and being a part of that process? Is there like specific people who talked to you about it and that you sat and listened to and absorbed a lot of information and then obviously took it and executed it how you want to execute it?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just assuming there's been a lot of people in your life that have instilled a lot of that in you.
It's a little bit of both, because obviously Manolo, he was the one that picked me up when I was 15 at 5 in the morning
Oh my God.
in a car with my grandfather smoking cigars with the windows just this open. Yeah, you got to get used to the smoke. I'm like, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So obviously he's a big influence on me because my grandfather was part of the business as well, but I was too young when he passed and I wasn't still in the business that much. It's mostly been Manolo because he's the one that's made me work
Right.
every single thing. But Manolo is one of the guys, and I agree with that. It's not that he's teaching me. I need to learn the process. How do you learn the process? Being there, seeing how everything goes. But Manolo is the guy from I learned most of what I did because I was there for most of my life.
Right.
But the other side of it is everybody in the industry, man. I come back to this. Every time I go to a cigar factory, even though if I'm a 20-year-old kid, any of those guys, instead of sitting you down and not showing you anything, they would come here. Try this, do this. And you would ask questions and they would take their time to give you all the answers you need.
Man.
So it's of course, Manolo is the number one guy that I worked with since I was a kid, and I learned everything working with him at that factory. But also everybody I've met through the years, everybody always has a nice fun fact of the day every time I talk with them. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know that.
Let me jot that down.
Yeah. So it's always interesting to sit down and dude, I just listen. I like to talk. I'm a good talker. I'm talking a lot with you here, but when I'm sitting down with those guys, hit me. Hit me with some knowledge, and I'll try to absorb as much as I can.
Yeah. No, I think that's the best source of learning, too. And then watching them execute it and do it and seeing how they interact with their rollers, with the sorting room, and how they treat their staff. Yeah. And that had to have rubbed off on you.
Of course.
Because of the importance you put on it here.
Yeah. I mean, when you work in one place forever, you see the same thing every day. I had the privilege of being able to see other people that do the same thing, even competitors, and they open the doors for me.
Yeah.
They showed me everything. Come here so you can learn something. Because they're not thinking about, oh, this is Hostos from that company. It's just Hostos. He wants to learn. He's passionate about it.
Yep.
So why not teach him?
I love that.
Talk to him. And everybody's always so nice. Everybody's always because at least all the cigar makers I know love what they do.
Yeah.
So talking about something that you like is easy. You told me we're doing a podcast. I had no idea we were doing it. I'm like, sure. We're going to talk about tobacco. I have no problems with that. I have nothing to study.
Right.
Or you remember when you did those lectures at school, you had to like study hours before because you were going to repeat the same thing. Here we're just shooting the shit.
It's
man.
life.
Yeah.
What do you see as the next kind of stage or the next step, if you will, for La Isla?
For me, La Isla, a lot of people, I get this question a lot. When are you doing your own brand? When are you doing your own brand? Till I'm not at a point in this company where I feel that all my customers are happy and it's grown enough where I'm like, why not try this right now? I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because when I opened up the factory, I had a decision to make. Two decisions to make. One is concentrate on the factory. Sorry, it's 3 decisions. Concentrate on the factory, concentrate on the brand, or do both.
Yep.
Concentrating on the brand and doing both does not work when you're opening a cigar factory. I need to concentrate on the processes done here. And I need to concentrate on my customers. Because at the end of the day, you mentioned something before. Everybody I know in the industry, I've always tried to be respectful. I always try to leave the door open. I always try to learn from people, see how they're working, see how they're doing things. So I said to myself, you can't do 2 things at the same time.
No.
It's impossible. All these minute details we're talking about.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
It's just it's running the factory. It's me. You know?
Yeah.
I'm here every day, Sundays, whatever time I need to be here because you need to be on top of it. Imagine if I had my own brand, I had to travel, do the whole dance. I wouldn't be here that long. And then I would be doing a disservice to my customers and to the factory I'm trying to grow. It's like I told you earlier, this is Tabacalera La Isla. This is not Hostos. The product that comes out of here doesn't say Hostos. It says Tabacalera La Isla.
Yep.
So I want people to get to know this company, that we work with cool people, we do things right, and we do things in the way that we think is going to work. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's a business. But it's all about the factory. It's not even me. So how do I make that happen? Running around, as you saw me today, through every area of this factory, man, making sure that everything is on point. Because you mentioned before, I've gained a lot of trust in people. People know me from Quesada. They trust me from Quesada. People know me from Cigar Rings, and they trust me from Cigar Rings. People don't know me running my own factory. They trust me as Hostos, but not Hostos as the factory running guy, you know? He's having his own place. So for me, that is one of my most important things. You're
earning their trust every day.
Again, even though they know me and they trust me, they know me for years, I don't care. I'm going to show that to you in this.
Mm-hmm.
That I can make it happen, and it's going to be a good product. It's going to be consistent. I can't promise anybody that everybody's going to like it, because if they did, we'd be triple the size in 2 months. Not everybody's going to like everything. It's like wine. Everybody compares it to wine. Some people like $2 Chuck. Other people like $15,000 bottles. There's always somebody that likes something, man.
Yep.
$2 Chuck, it's not shit. I just don't drink it. I don't like it.
Right.
But they sell millions of bottles.
Sure. They sure do.
So at the end of the day, man, construction is important because taste is subjective. If the cigar looks good, if the construction is on point, if it's burning correctly, if it's not going out, if it looks nice, you have 80 to 90% of the battle won.
Right.
Because taste is subjective. I might do the most perfect cigar in the world for you, Dave, and you might not like it. But some people might say it's the greatest thing that's ever been done. It all depends on what people like, man. But construction, consistency is very important because that's half the battle.
Wow.
More than half the battle.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, and this all goes back to everything we said at the beginning. It's in the details. It's in the hundreds of hands that touch the product that end up in our hands as consumers. And that's what the focus has to be of a factory, frankly.
And a lot of people are mistaken that, I mean, it works for a lot of people. This is, again, Dave, all these comments are my opinions, doesn't mean I'm right. A lot of people think the model is go into every single store they can every day of the week. At the end of the day, when you leave a store on Monday and you're in another store on Thursday, that store on Monday is pushing something else if you're not creating the product that sells by itself.
Right.
Because you're there today and tomorrow there's another guy and tomorrow there's another guy. The product needs to sell by itself. I've always said I like to be in the shadows. Another part of me not doing my own brand, I don't give a shit about being the new brand guy. Oh, it's this guy making this cigar. I'd rather be in the shadows creating things here, and people are supporting it at the same time.
Yeah.
I want to make cigars, man. I don't want to be in the magazine cover like my dear friend here who killed it. It was great. It was great. But if it happens, of course, promotion, any publicity is good publicity, of course. But that's not what I want. I don't want to be the guy or the new cigar guy, the new brand guy, the new guy that's posing on top of something. I want to make cigars. I'm a factory guy. If I'm making cigars here, and again, we're not doing easy things. We're doing specific. We're trying to do special things.
Yeah.
That's what makes me get up every day in the morning. Not going to a cigar shop. Oh, here's another cigar, which is fine, of course, because we got to move product. But I'm a factory guy. I like creating cigars here. So if I'm making cigars for you, for anybody else, you're happy. The customers are happy. It's like me having my own brand. It gives me the same satisfaction of what we're doing as well.
Totally get that.
Because you can show up here, Dave, and you can tell me this is a blend. Boom. You can give me the exact blend. In sorting, if I don't do it right, it's not going to work. Production, if it does not done right, it's not going to work. So this is me doing cigars for other people. Is like me having hundreds of brands out there. Because if the cigar sucks and people are not happy, I'm going to be sad if it was my own brand.
Yep.
If the customer's not happy, I'm going to be sad if it wasn't my own brand. So it gives me the same fulfillment to make cigars for other people than doing my own brand.
Love it. And I mean, it makes sense. It's why you are a factory guy.
That's what I am. I like creating and making things happen and running around like a madman.
I love it.
Everywhere. And at the same time, if you're here, you have time for this and you have time for your family.
Yep.
Because I work hard, but I also enjoy my family a lot because at the end of the day, I can die tomorrow. And family always is important, man.
Absolutely.
So being here and working here also is good.
Amazing. Well, that was the fastest 50 minutes I think that's ever happened. Yeah.
Get the fuck out. Wow.
Can you believe that?
I cannot believe it. I thought it was like 20 minutes or something.
No.
Wow.
No, so enlightening. Thank you for sharing all of that and a lot about you and what drives you. I think that is so important for people to understand that there's passion behind this that goes beyond just clocking in, making money, and going home. There's true pride in every product that goes out of these doors, and it's felt, I think, when our customers smoke it, it's felt with me and our whole team, and we just appreciate you, and thanks for opening up La Isla to us this week. It's been a blast.
For you guys, man. I appreciate your words, and again, man, at the end of the day, it's all about this.
Yep.
Doesn't matter who it is. It's not Dave. It's not Cigar Club.
Yep.
When the guy has a cigar in his mouth,
it's him and the cigar.
It's him and the cigar, and he's his own expert, and we have to make everything we can for that to be able to happen, for them to enjoy the product. But I'm happy you guys are here. I hope anybody who wants to visit it, I'm always open to visits because I like showing people what we do.
We'll have to put together like a cigar club, get a couple guys from it, bring them down, show them the factory.
Done.
It'll be a good time.
Done. If you make it happen, I can make it happen.
Perfect.
No problem. I'll be more than happy. But thank you for having me, man, and thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the podcast. I appreciate it, and just keep making cigars, man.
Let's
keep
it.
Making cigars. Let's go back to work.
Here we go. All right, Cigar Club family. Thanks, as always, for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast with Hostos. Make sure you like this video, download it on Spotify, Apple Music, and Google Podcasts, all the places you can find the Cigar Club Podcast.
Can I add something to the end?
Yes.
At Tabacalera La Isla Instagram.
Yes, sorry. At Tabacalera La Isla. We'll put it in there if you can't spell it. It'll be in the description. Yes, check them out. Follow them. You can see all the behind the scenes of what goes into Hostos making these cigars. Until next week, we'll see you guys then. Happy smoking.
Thank you, guys.